Hello and welcome to the Album Man. Today we're going to be doing another episode of CDs I bought recently. There's not going to be any vinyl in this episode, but there certainly will be vinyl in a future one. I'm going to have to make a few of these because I think the last one I did was back in summer 2017, so a lot of these are going to span kind of over the course of a year. I've been keeping these in separate piles so that I wouldn't forget which ones I haven't put in one of these pickup videos, but it's been a long time, so let's get started. Even I'm not quite sure what is in some of these piles. It's been a while since I sorted them. So, firstly, we have Mercyful Fate's Don't Break the Oath. Now this is one I found quite recently in an Oxfam for $2.50. Bizarrely, one of the Oxfams near me, it had a sign on it saying, something along the lines of, metal fans wanted in here. We've got loads of metal CDs. And they did indeed. So yeah, Mercyful Fate's Don't Break the Oath, it's one of Mercyful Fate's King Diamond's best. Probably what I'd recommend if you want to check out King Diamond. This is the place to go. It's just one of those classic quintessential metal albums that finally I have in my collection. Another from that Oxfam one was Metal Church. This is not, unfortunately, their debut, because that's the best one, but this is A Light in the Dark. Now, I don't know anything about this album, Metal Church. This is from 2006. I haven't got around to listening to it yet, so I don't know, I'll have to see, but I really like Metal Church's earlier stuff from the early 80s, and yeah, their self-titled is a masterpiece of kind of new album-y stuff, though. Metal Church are American, at least I think. Okay, here's one from quite a long time ago. This was when I was in Finland. So I actually, last summer in August, I lived in Finland for a month doing a course in heavy metal, which my university kind of paid for me to do, which was really cool. Heavy metal in society and contemporary history, I think it was called. So, I picked up a few albums while I was in Helsinki, and this is one of them. This was quite cheap, cheaper than the price tag says, if you can see it, because it was on sale. Johnny Cash, live at Folsom Prison. And I think this has the odd bonus track to it. But yeah, this is one of those classic live albums that I'm not really much of a Cash fan, got to admit. Country has never been something I've liked that much, but I always really liked Hurt on his final album. I mean, who doesn't know his cover of Hurt? I think it's probably better than the original, though I do love both. And yeah, this is a good live album. I'm not going to say I love it or anything. Johnny Cash isn't someone I have a particular attachment to, but yeah, it's a solid record. Definitely one worth having in the collection. Frost. Okay, yeah, so Falling Satellites by Frost. This is, I guess, neo-prog is what I call it. It has John Mitchell. He's the guy who's, well, in everything. He's the one from Lonely Robot, he's in Arena, he was in It Bites for a while, and probably many more. That guy is all over the place. But yeah, Frost is the only project of this I hadn't checked out, so I found this very cheap in a record shop. So, And talking of another project by someone I like that I definitely need to listen to, No Man, the album Flowermouth. So I believe this is a collaboration between Stephen Wilson and Tim Bowness. Though it also says that it has Richard Barbary, Porcupine Tree's keyboardist, and yeah, Mel Collins and Robert Fripp, both from King Crimson, guesting on it as well. So it sounds fascinating. I've heard that No Man was a slightly poppier project of Stephen Wilson's, but yeah, I gotta listen to this. So I found this in FOP not too long ago. I had a lot of stuff from, what's the label? Is it K-Scope? Yeah, K-Scope. Loads of that stuff on sale, which was great. Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats, Bloodlust. This is their debut album, and what's really fun, because this is not something you often see, it has a coloured CD. Like, you get coloured vinyl and things, but it's very rare that you get a coloured CD. So to have this blood red CD for Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats is really, really awesome. I love this band. I saw them live a couple of years, I think I've seen them a couple of times. I saw them support Black Sabbath back in 2013, and I saw them by themselves a couple of years ago in, I think, the Scala in London. And definitely worth checking out if you like Doom. It's like Doom with kind of Beatles-esque pop melodies to it. It's strange. I don't think this is their finest album. I think Mind Control's always the album I'd recommend of Arcal Acid, but it's nice to get closer to that complete Acid collection. At the Gates, at War with Reality. I loved this album when it came out in 2014. This was kind of their At the Gates' return. Been ages since, I mean, what, Slaughter of the Soul? That must have been mid-90s maybe? It was a long time ago. And it's the best album. So melodic death metal from Gothenburg. This was their comeback and I thought it was great. A little bit too long at 15. Well, actually some of these are, but yeah, okay. So it's 13 tracks along the album and it has 2 bonus tracks. It sounds normal. But where does it put the bonus tracks? It puts them in the middle of the album, at tracks 9 and 10. Now, I'm not called the album man for nothing. I enjoy the flow of an album. So if I want to listen to At War with Reality, I want to listen to it as it was kind of originally released, the normal common studio album version of it. And then maybe afterwards I might like a bit more, so I'll listen to the bonus tracks. I don't like the fact they put them on the middle in this edition. It did come with a nice patch and I got my denim, which was good. And it's a nice hardback, it's a good edition, but putting bonus tracks in the middle, that's not a good thing. I've only heard a bit of it At the Gates' latest album, and I think it's decent so far, but it doesn't hit me as much as this one. Okay, here's a couple of miscellaneous things I bought in Finland. Destruction, the album All Hell Breaks Loose, which there's also a Black Star Riders album with the same name. Destruction, so part of the German Big Four with Creator, Sodom, and Tankard. Destruction, not one of my favourites of the German Big Four. I've never really heard one of their full albums. I think I've listened to this one and it was okay. It didn't hit me. It's definitely something to re-listen to. Another from Finland, Manson, Little Kicks. So Manson, a Scottish rock band, they're often compared to Radiohead, which a little bit unfair. They certainly have that experimental late 90s alt-rock whole thing going on, but they're really good in their own right, and some people kind of write them off as almost a Radiohead clone. They're definitely not, and Paul Draper, the main man, is great. His solo album from last year was in my top 15 of the year, I think, his debut solo album, and this was the final album they ever did, and it's definitely not the best album they did. It's probably their weakest album. It's not really worth getting unless you happen to be a really big fan of Manson. Otherwise, Attack of the Green Lanterns is always a good one, and 6 is their kind of their opus. I couldn't go to Finland and not buy an Amorphous album. I have not got around to this one yet. I've never traditionally been that big into Amorphous, but I thought I'd check them out. This was at a car boot sale for I think 50p or something like that. Okay, a couple that I got in That's Entertainment, which I found one in Liverpool when I was back up there for a bit. Sticky Fingers by the Rolling Stones. Yeah, you may be surprised to hear that I don't own this album. Yeah, that is kind of strange. My Stones collection has been terrible up until now. Before I had Exile Main Street on CD, and I had Tattoo You on vinyl, and that was it. But I've added a few more to my collection, as we'll see as I make more of these pickup videos, and yeah, this is their best album, though soon I'm going to be doing a full kind of guide to the Rolling Stones, so I won't say too much about my thoughts on this, because that video's taken a while. That's going to be an epic. It will cover their entire discography, so yeah. The Dillinger Escape Plan, Disassociation, one of the best albums of 2016, one of Dillinger Escape Plan's best albums. Intense mathcore. I'm so sad that they're retiring, because they are one of the best live bands I've ever seen, and unfortunately I was in a pretty terrible position for them. So I saw them at the O2 Academy in Kentish Town, and so they'd sold out of all the standing at the bottom, which is kind of where you want to be for a really intense show like Dillinger. And instead, I was on the balcony, which, okay, seated, that sounds alright, but no. I had a standing ticket on the balcony. There's nowhere to stand, so I was stood on a stair for, like, the whole gig, and being stood on a staircase is not the most fun way to watch Dillinger, though they were still incredible. Another album from, it's 2017, what am I on about, this was from last year. Solstafir's, Bedremin. I can never say Solstafir's Icelandic names. The deluxe version as well, which is always fun. I have the deluxe version for Otter. It has a core patch, beautiful pin, and it even has some earplugs, which is nice because I didn't have a pair of earplugs, and I go to some really noisy rock pubs with gigs on, which, yeah, it's just too loud. You do kind of need earplugs if you want to actually be able to hear the next day. So that's handy. They're not of the best quality. But yeah, this is a great album. You know, not quite as good as I feel I'm saying that with a lot of these albums. Like, oh, not quite as good as XYZ album, but just in case, I'm only saying that in case you haven't heard of the band and want to check them out. The best place to start. But this is a really solid place to start with Solstafir. Atmospheric-y, Icelandic rock. Though this album has a bit of Thin Lizzy in there, which is kind of strange. It's got this whole classic rock vibe to it, a bit like the way that Kvelertak's Nattrsfjörð had like a classic rock with their black and roll music. Some people like to call it that. An old school album I wanted to pick up for a long time. Coheed and Cambria, the Afterman Ascension. This, I think, was the only Coheed and Cambria album I needed to now have. I'm pretty sure I have the whole discography, aside from, maybe there's a new album I don't have. I can't remember. But yeah, I really like this one. So I had Dissension as well. I got a signed copy of that many years ago, back in 2013, I think. But this was always my favourite one of the two. Dissension's okay, but Ascension is brilliant. Domino the Destitute is unbelievable. I was kind of sad when I saw them live on the Afterman tour, and they didn't play Domino the Destitute. And the fun thing is I did a concert review of it, and I actually had the drummer of Coheed and Cambria comment and explain to me why they didn't play Domino the Destitute. And he told me that the singer, Claudio, his voice was just too shot to pieces through doing the tour, that it would strain his voice too much doing that song, so they had to cut it from the set, which was unfortunate, because I remember complaining a bit in my review, like, why would they not play the best song from the whole double album? But, that's why. Okay, let's go a bit more old school, a bit bluesy. So first we have John Lee Hooker, 4 classic albums, and it really is what it says on the tin. So 2 discs, 4 albums. The albums are I'm John Lee Hooker, Plays and Sings the Blues, Burning and Travelling. John Lee Hooker is, well, why I was particularly interested in this set was I've never listened to as much of John Lee Hooker as other classic blues artists, honestly. I like his style, but I can find he's a little bit too smooth at times. To me, he really nicely combines the Delta blues, you know, the Robert Johnson, Blind Lemon Jeffersons, etc., with that Chicago, that, you know, muddy Howlin' Wolf, B.B. King type style, and he's like the bridge, and he's really great at that, and he does have some killer songs, just all across these 4 discs. And another blues, talking about Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters. Now these 2 are 2 of my very favourites, and these are great. It has Moanin' in the Moonlight, probably Howlin's best album, though the self-titled Howlin' Wolf as well is incredible. And the Muddy Waters has the Sings Big Bill Brunsey, which I haven't listened to that one yet, because every time I end up listening to the Muddy disc of this, so 1 disc Howlin', 1 disc Muddy, I keep just listening to At Newport. The Live at Newport 1960 here, I highly recommend it. Any blues fan who has not heard that concert, to me, it really is one of the best live blues albums. That and probably B.B. King's Live at the Regal Hall I put up there. But yeah, Live at Newport 1960 Muddy Waters is the quintessential Muddy album. If you only listen to one Muddy album, make it that one. Because the version of I've Got My Mojo Working, both parts 1 and parts 2, even though they're together, is just... And Hoochie Coochie Man just shows why he is the legend he is. Okay, one I picked up the other week in a car boot for 50p. Gaslight Anthem, American Slang. New Jersey, Springsteen-esque type rock music. And it's a great album. I also have the 59 sound. I've never been massive into the Gaslight Anthem, but really fun band to put on a summer's day. And the song particularly, the Diamond Church Street Choir. Yeah, that's killer. One of the best albums from last year, Pain of Salvation, In the Passing Light of Day. I talked about this in my top albums of the year, so I won't talk about it too much. but this is an absolute masterpiece. My favourite song of last year, The Passing Light of Day, is the finale of this. 15.5 minutes of bliss. I don't know how it took me so long as a prog fan to discover and actually check out these guys. They've been on my radar forever, but I picked this up at HRH's Prog Festival in Wales. It was like £4 and it had only just come out like a few months before, which shocked me. So I picked it up just blind buy because I'd heard people talk about it, and I was blown away. An album that I'm not as blown away by, Megadeth, The System Has Failed. You know, this was in the same Oxfam that I got some of the ones earlier on. £2.50, and yeah, System Has Failed's alright. I think this is the one before Endgame, or was that United Abominations? I can never remember. This is, it's Megadeth going through the motions, I guess. Early 2000s Megadeth. It's alright. It's not quite before they got to the Endgame kind of revival, and when they felt really alive again. Here, it's okay. I do quite like With Mice and Men. ISIS, In the Absence of Truth. I'm never going to say no to picking up an ISIS, the band, album. The best post-metal band ever, I think. If you want to check them out, start with Panopticon, then move to The Ocean. Not The Ocean, what am I on about? I mean, a great post-metal band is indeed The Ocean. Oceanic. Yeah. Absence of Truth. I haven't actually had this one yet, have I? No. I'm sure I've had this once before, but I cannot remember. At the moment, I think I'm getting it confused with another ISIS album, so I won't speak on it, but I'm sure it's going to be great. And lastly, but certainly not least, Sufjan Stevens, Michigan, the Great Lake State. All about the state of Michigan. This is when he announced he was going to make an album about every single state in the US. He only ever did make one about Michigan and Illinois. It was actually just a PR marketing stunt and a bit of a troll, but no one cares. This is a wonderful album. It's more traditionally Sufjan, you know, if you've listened to his stuff. It goes in different areas. You have kind of the folk rock, well not folk rock even, just folk Sufjan of the early days, of like Seven Swans. That's a great introductory album. If you just want a bit of banjo, a bit of acoustic guitar, and his really beautiful voice, check out Michigan. Check out Seven Swans. Then maybe move on to something like Michigan, which starts incorporating a few weird elements in some of these strange song titles, like All Good Naysayers Speak Up, or Forever Hold Your Peace, For the Windows in Paradise, For the Fatherless in Ypsilanti, or this personal favourite, Oh God, Where Are You Now, in Pickerel Lake, Pigeon, Marquette, Mackinac. It's a really strange titled record. But yeah, and then you get Illinois with some weird experimentations, and then he starts going a lot more electro, and you have like The Age of Ads, which is a hard listen. I love that album, but it's a hard listen if you don't have some tolerance towards electronic music, I guess. And then the perfect Carrie and Low, one of my favourite albums of all time. So yeah, Michigan. I haven't even talked about Michigan that much. It's a really good album though. It's not as good as Illinois. It's a little similar to Illinois, but it's kind of like its inferior brother as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, so that's it for this episode of CDs and no vinyl that I bought recently in the last year, I guess. So there'll be more of these coming soon. I can see a stack of CDs over there, and I've got a big old stack of vinyl. So we'll be getting through them over the next couple of weeks. So yeah, this has been TheAIbumMan. Thanks for watching, comment, subscribe, and as usual, long live rock and roll.